Good evening. This is Libby Star. Welcome to Libby Star for the Missing. I hope that my volume is better this evening. I am using a different piece of equipment for my sound. So you just please let me know how it sounds for you. Let me get my banner going here. What am I going to do for my banner tonight? Let's see. I think this one here. All right, so I am so excited about tonight's stream because I just witnessed and took part in a really, really awesome live stream. If you did not see it, I recommend that you go and watch it. But here, I'm going to give you the Cliff's Notes or the Libby Notes, we'll call it. So if you don't feel like listening to the entire thing, you can just get what I deem to be super relevant and helpful information. So first off, as you may have already seen, Texas EQ search, I think that's how you say it, EquiSearch. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, guys. I'm sure someone will tell me about myself if I'm not saying it correctly. But they are going to be boots on the ground again, searching for our dear, sweet, beautiful Summer Moon Wells. Summer Moon Utah Wells, as we affectionately call her. So this is the website, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about it in case you didn't know, because I don't know what you don't know, and I didn't know about it. But they truly do get up on horses and they go look for people. Not only that, they do have the latest in technology. By the by, it was started by their founding director, Tim Miller. And now Tim started this in memory of his daughter, who very unfortunately was abducted and murdered in 1984. Laura Miller here, this beautiful young lady. And so through his efforts, though, they have located, let's just take a look at some of the people that they have found safe, okay? This gentleman here, Bernard Pierre Sr., just found July 8th. This gentleman here, Jesse Owens, in New Orleans, Louisiana. Brianna Strait. Saul. I can't say his last name, I'm sorry. But the list just goes on and on. They have found people that no one else could find, okay? And let's face it, every person has someone who cares for them. And when these people go missing, there's a whole bunch of people behind them wishing and praying and hoping that they would be found safe. And so this amazing organization helps make that a reality. What I do want to share with you tonight are some excerpts from, sorry, I have his head cut off like that. Okay, I'm going to stop that screen and I'm going to start to share the screen to the live stream that I just watched. When I tell you, y'all, it was amazing. So I know this is a pretty bad look right here for Mr. David Rader. No disrespect to you, sir. I'm sorry that is how it looks. But as you can see, he's the operation director of the organization. And the reason that I have this pause here is because at around this point is where the good nuggets of information begin. So let's just hear what they have to say. And I'll be pausing it periodically to give you my 2 cents. Uh-oh. Where's the sound? Why is there no sound? Oh no. Oh my gosh. Did y'all hear that? Tell me if you heard anything, please. Do I have to turn my microphone off in order for you to hear it? Because, see, I have this sound.
Group was headlining this whole dance, we'll call it. And I'll tell you,
listen here. Here's my disclaimer again. I suck at technology. Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit just so you can hear.
She went missing on that Tuesday afternoon, reported missing about 6:40 that evening. We reached out probably on that Thursday to see if there was anything that we could possibly do to assist down there. We finally did get a phone call back on that Saturday evening, probably at about 5 o'clock in the evening, wanted us to be ready to go on Sunday morning. I personally got about 7 of us together on short notice to go down to Rogersville, Tennessee. I was on the ground in a hotel at 11 o'clock that night, ready to go for the next day. So, there was multiple agencies.
Who called you, David, to come down there? Was it law enforcement or was it the family?
No. The family did not contact us. It was strictly through law enforcement, which was being handled through their emergency manager, the Hawkins County EMA.
Okay, so it was like the Timmy Coop, Captain Coop, and his people.
That is correct. Yeah, Tim Coop was headlining this whole dance, we'll call it. And I'll tell you, he did one hell of a job as far as putting a lot of agencies and a lot of manpower on short notice and really covering a boatload of ground. It was incredible.
Dave, could you just explain to us and our audience, when you got there, what was the organization like of this search? How was it organized? As who would take what area? Who would take another area? What are we going to deploy? We're going to deploy horses. We're going to deploy aviation. We're going to deploy canine. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Hey, before you answer, I got to ask a favor of you because it's driving me crazy.
Sure.
Is there any way you can back up away from the camera because half of your head's there you go. You don't have to be that far, or it's fine. You right there is good.
Okay.
Everybody was I didn't look at the chat, but I know that I was going to get a lot of complaints because your forehead was cut off. So now everybody can see your beautiful locks of hair.
Yeah, Dave, you have such beautiful hair. They want to see it. That's right.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. I don't have hair, so I could say that. But I wanted the people to see you fully, and I didn't want to have your forehead.
I can't even see me. All I got on my screen is still the.
You're perfect.
The piece led up to it, so that's why I can't.
All right.
I couldn't tell how far I was.
You're good right there, Bill. You want to lead back into that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would just like to know when you finally got there and you had all your personnel put together. What was the organization of this search like? How was it put together? How were the personnel deployed, and how was it determined who would search what specific areas, and how would they search these specific areas?
At the time they were still searching around the house, thinking that this girl walked away. So at that point in time, there was no foul play ever mentioned, or.
don't know what's going on with this.
I don't think it was considered. So at that point in time, they were strategically breaking down in and around that house into grids. And then what they would do is keep all of your manpower together, so they wasn't like basically breaking you up to put with another group. So they took those groups, and depending on the qualifications and what you're used to, is how they broke it down into what sector that you went to. They had aviation in the air, they had the helo, they had dog teams. I think that they had 5 or 6 different dog teams down there. So they were strategically placing the dogs ahead of the foot searchers, and then we would go in behind them as a checks and balances. And it was well organized. They would actually they would bus us in to each individual plot of land that we were going to do, and then we were in radio contact as far as if we found anything, if we found any evidence. We were all GPS tracked, and I can tell you, if I could share that with you, it's incredible on the amount of manpower that was in and around that piece of property in that mountain over the course of those 5 or 6 days that I was there.
Dave, some of the folks are going to ask that there's different types of dogs, bloodhounds, there's cadaver dogs, what all manner of dogs working this scene?
Yeah, they were actually using live track, and they were also using cadaver. From what I understand, they could not get a very good scent article from the house for summer because I think that everything was kind of shared. So I'm not too sure how well that played out, but they did use cadaver, and they also used live track, and not one of them took us in any one direction.
So was it confirmed, Dave, that they did bring in multiple dogs into the home and outside of the home? Because there's been reports that some dogs got sent to the end of the road of the house, and then it stopped there. Is there any truth to that statement, Dave?
From what I understand, yes. That as far as the interior of the house, I have no knowledge of that working, but I did hear on several occasions that the live track took it to the end of the driveway, and that's where they lost it. And usually that means they get into a car. But again, if you look up where this house sits, and the possibility of a stranger abduction, it does not make sense at all. Only for the simple reason that you have to go, you're in a secluded area, number one. Number two is that you have to come off of a main road to go down their road, only to go back a long driveway. Right. And again, if they're all sitting there and they're all there, the odds of that happening are, to me, are slim to none.
And and Dave, we heard a lot about the family's dogs, and it said there was reported that there was anywhere from 7 to 20 dogs. Can you confirm that?
I cannot confirm that. I know that there was a couple of dogs, but as far as that many dogs, I can't confirm that at all.
Which that would make it even more difficult for a stranger to come onto the property.
Oh, absolutely. And I would think that if she wandered away, I would think one of those dogs would go with her.
I'm showing an overview of the property. I don't know if you can see that, Dave, but I'm going to full screen with it. So you guys can see this is the house right here in the middle of the screen. So I'll bring it down. But this is an overview of the area. Here's the road that led to, that's their road right alongside the 110B. What is it?
It's Ben Hill.
Ben Hill Road. Yep. With my glasses, I could read up close, but far away, everything gets blurry. That's what sucks about age, right? Anyways, this is the home right here, and quite a bit of trees, bush, heavy bush all around it. And if you pan out, you got random homes up over here to your right, and it's just few and far between of dwellings. So it's mainly some open fields across the way, and then just a concentration of a lot of hills, valleys, and heavy bush. Talk about some of the difficulties of searching that.
I mean, on Google Earth, you can't really tell how steep those hills are, but let me tell you from firsthand, a billy goat would have a damn hard time traversing some of these hills that we were on the side of. I mean, they were very treacherous. There was sticker bushes. There was we had sightings of bear. We had a lot of copperheads. We had everything that you could think of. The heat was just incredible. It was taking a toll on the searchers because it was so damn hot. It was like 90 degrees, and people think, well, you're in the shade, you're in the you're undercover. There's no air under there.
Yeah. I want to say that it's admirable for volunteers to come out. You have people coming from you guys are up in Ohio, so I would imagine that a lot of your personnel have come from your local area or surrounding area, right?
I've actually got one coming from Evansville, Indiana.
Wow.
I've got them coming from Kentucky, of course. I've got them coming from Tennessee, of course. I've got 2 or 3 people that are coming north of me from Dayton, Ohio.
Right.
I had somebody reach out from West Virginia.
Wow.
So
your personnel that comes with you. First, I want to say thank you to Denise Spalding for the $100 super chat. Much appreciated.
Pertinent question, and you sort of touched upon it almost unintentionally. You said that if she had walked out and actually walked down the road, that the dogs probably would have found her. So I'm just going to ask you: do you think that the story told by Candus is plausible?
No.
And I think something. I really like that. You're not an investigator, but based on you're coming from a different discipline, and that is deductive reasoning at its best.
And David, did you say 100% no?
I don't think that it's plausible that she wandered off and nobody could not with the amount of individual.
Let's hear that
almost
again.
unintentionally. You said that if she had walked out and actually walked down the road, that the dogs probably would have found her. So I'm just going to ask you: do you think that the story told by Candus is plausible?
No,
No.
no.
And I think something. I really like that. You're not an investigator, but based on you're coming from a different discipline, and that is deductive reasoning at its best.
And David, did you say 100% no?
I don't think that it's plausible that she wandered off and nobody could not with the amount of individuals that we had covering that mountain, and especially after day 4 when I got there, and the amount of people that surrounded that, it's almost like it just was a noose and it was just tightening up. There's no way she could have got out of that first circle without being spotted, and especially when you got a helo with FLIR on it. Now all of a sudden you have to also remember, guys, that this little girl after day 4 has not had any water, has not had any nourishment. She's in dire straits at this point in time, so her movements are going to be slow, if not non-existent. So she's not even going to be a moving target at that point in time. And for 1,000 people to sit there and literally not find this girl within the confines of that circle, I ain't buying it.
Thank you. Let's talk about the first 48 hours. How important is that?
I think the first hour is detrimental. 48. I mean, a lot can happen in 48 hours.
Right.
And the way I think of things, guys, and again, I don't want to piss nobody off or jump a bandwagon, but here's my thought process on all of this across the United States. If you have a missing individual, I think law enforcement should have a search team or something like us. So when that individual goes missing, all hands are on deck, and you put all those
enthusiasts. I love the people who pick your brain apart, that ask you the tough questions. There's a thing swirling about Summer Wells, that she was a special needs, that she was nonverbal, and that she was a special needs. This is just a thing that I've heard people speaking about. I have not heard law enforcement once, because when an Amber Alert goes out, or if there's a search, Bill and I know from searching for thousands upon thousands of missings, if it's a special category, we call it special category. If it's somebody with, that's Alzheimer's, that's nonverbal, that's autism, it is immediately transmitted, because they want everybody to know. Do you have anything on that, Dave, for us?
No, I never once heard that girl had any kind of special needs, or once. No, there was nothing to my knowledge. No.
Right,
it was never conveyed to me.
Law enforcement would convey that to you, obviously, because you've done hundreds of these searches, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That would be. Well, I just did a case 3 years ago down in Tennessee. Baby Joe Daniels. He was a special needs. He was 5 years old. Supposedly the father did it. He confessed to doing it. He just got charged with it. We still have yet to recover his body. But he was an autistic child. And 9 times out of 10, when an autistic, and you guys can probably confirm this also, is when you have an autistic child, they always gravitate towards water. Always. There was no fear.
Yeah.
And there was two ponds, good-sized ponds by this child's house, and I think that he would have went to that and it never did. So, but no, it was never conveyed to us that this child had any kind of special needs.
Yeah, thank you for that, Dave. I just had to ask you, because so many people send me messages about it, and I see people speaking about it. And there could be some kind of neglect that was going on. We don't know what happened inside that home, but it would be something clinical from a professional, a doctor, where it was certified that this person suffers from X, Y, and Z. Law enforcement would know that and would be transmitting that on the Amber Alert, transmitting it on the missing persons report, and transmitting it to folks like yourself. Captain Tim Coop from the rescue squad over in Hawkins County reached out. You reached out to him. He gave you the blessing and said, hey, we want a fresh set of eyes. We want fresh people to look at. And he actually said it in his last press conference, I think June 27th. We're going to shut this thing down, but we want to get fresh eyes and fresh people in here. So I think it's a good idea. Can you talk a little bit about, I know we can't talk about location, but I want you to talk to the audience about the importance of keeping this close to the chest and not speaking about it. If somebody sees your organization, which has the markings all over the vehicles, you guys are high profile for safety reasons. Just speak to my audience about the importance of what you spoke about in that news piece and keeping this investigation true.
And again, this is an ongoing investigation that people have to understand on social media. And again, it's very pertinent, is because we really don't know at this point in time who all the players of the game are. So we don't know if it's the family. It could be an outsider. And if they're watching all the social media and they're putting up to, maps and when they were here and they were there, and this individual is watching all of this, all you're doing is enabling this individual to hide something that we're so desperately trying to find. So we have to have it to where it's like, look, we know that people mean well, and they want to say, well, they've seen us over here and they've seen us over there, but refrain from doing that only for the simple reason that we don't want a potential perpetrator to get off on this, and for someone never to be found because of somebody wanting to sit there and play armchair quarterback or detective or however you want to do it. But you have to sit there and think a little bit outside of the box and refrain from, okay, we've seen him over there, but if you want to say that you've seen me in Kingsport or Rogersville, so be it. But I don't want anybody to, if they see me on a country road or a specific piece of property, I can't have somebody telling this on social media. Unfortunately, I can't stop it, but I would think that common sense would tell people, hey, we don't want to give, if this is a killer's case, we don't want to give them the upper hand by coming back and moving this individual or some piece of pertinent evidence to a spot where we mark it off, never to be gone back to again until somebody decides to go back and either build a house or, this, that, or the other. So it's very pertinent that, we are going to be visible. We are.
Okay. Amen to that. SCS, it's the letter S and then SEE sends in $24.99. Thank you so much for that generous donation. Another one coming in right now, La D Doodles says $50 super chat and stickers for this live is being donated to EquiSearch in their efforts for recovering Summer. Correct. That is correct. If not, how can I donate? You can donate directly to them. Here, super chats, 30% gets taken by YouTube. If you go directly down in the description, I'm going to link their PayPal. Can I get that off your Facebook, Dave, or is it on your website?
We're under the EquiSearch Midwest. That's our Facebook and also our website.
And the PayPal link will be in there, right?
That is correct.
Okay, folks, I will link that here down below in the description, the direct official PayPal for David's organization. I encourage you all to go over there. I'm going to be putting up a big donation tonight. I got to do some calculations, but whatever it is, I'm going to throw in an extra $250 from my pocket as well to the EquiSearch folks. And will you please, I know that cell service is bad. Will you give me some updates on, what you got after the weekend's over, like say Monday, Tuesday when you return? Will you come back and give us an update?
Absolutely. I would love to do that. That's only fair. And again, you're more than welcome. You've got my cell phone, Ron. If you want to call me on Saturday night, I can kind of give you an update. You're not going to bother me one bit. Love to hear from you.
Awesome.
So anytime that you want to chat with me, you just ring my number.
I appreciate that tremendously because we're trying to keep everybody that is got their heart in this case. We want to keep them with valid information, but we also want to keep you guys safe. And it's such an on-taking that, you don't need to be looking over your shoulder and worrying about, hey, the good things that I'm doing, is it now going to be going to, on the wayside? So again, I'm going to emphasize here along with David Rader, the information that if you're down there in the area of Rogersville, Tennessee, Hawkins County, wherever these folks are doing, if you see EquiSearch, don't take screenshots of it. Don't post it onto social media, because if you're doing that, you're helping the bad guys. So I ask you, I beg you, actually, please hold it to yourself. Wait until they're done with their searching. And then at a later date, maybe in a month from now or whatever, if you want to post it and say, hey, they did a great job, that's okay. But for the time being, David is asking everybody to hold off on posting anything and any photos of these folks doing God's work on social media. Is that correct, Dave?
That is correct. I couldn't put it any better, Ron.
Excellent. And if you would do me a favor, when you see Coop, tell him the guy Duty Ron, he's a good guy that's been reaching out to him. Get back to me and give me an interview. I want him to come on to talk.
I'm going to tell him you missed the boat.
Yeah.
He missed the boat on this one.
We had over 2,400 people live watching. There's still 2,200, 2,100 here in the chat. Bill, you have any final words for Dave? Because I got to let him go. He's probably...
Yeah, I just have one question, and maybe it's an unfair question, and if you don't want to answer, that's fine. But gut feeling, you think you're going to recover Summer?
I pray to God that, Bill, that's a tough question. If she's out there, I want to find her, and I want to do everything I possibly can. But then on the other hand, on the other end of the sword, you sit there and you think, well, if she was abducted or given away or whatever, and she's still walking amongst us, that would be the best case scenario. And the reason that I say things like that is because you have to look at J.C. Dugard after 29 years. You have to look at Elizabeth Smart after, 9 months. Anything's possible. we know where the hell this little girl isn't. I mean, we covered enough ground. We know where the hell she's not. Now we just have to keep expanding this circle until it just doesn't make any more sense. If that makes any sense.
Something
I hope to recover her if she's out there. Yes, because I want to give it back. I want to give her back to the family.
Well, David, something. I think you answered that question much better than I thought you could have possibly answered. And you're right. If she could be recovered alive, which there is always a possibility, but in this case, we all know the facts, and as you said early on, it doesn't make sense.
No. I think that there's one or two people know exactly what happened that day and what they did with her, and I hope to God that again that they would
come forward if they come forward and tell the truth. Yeah.
And there's the 1-800-TBI find tip line. You can leave an anonymous tip, or you can leave it on the email. I'll link the TBI's email and the 800 number where you can call and leave any kind of message. If you see something or if you know something, say something. Dave, I'm going to ask quickly in the chat because I got to be fair to my folks who've donated quite a bit of money here tonight, and they are definitely sending a lot of great questions. If anybody has any questions in the chat, please send it through the chat. I will highlight it. It doesn't have to be super chat. You could just put some questions and I'll take a quick peek at it. Bill, if you want to maybe throw another question or two, if you have it at him, I know you don't have him in the box. This isn't an interview. You're not interviewing and interrogating this guy.
Look, I'm always big. I'm always big with instinct, and I know, Dave, you've done hundreds of these searches, so that's why I believe that your instinct is excellent. And to me, what you tell me instinctively, I will take as almost as God's word, because I believe in instinct. And someone just asked on the chat, and I think you said it before, that the dogs lost the scent at the end of the driveway. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. That answers that question.
So again, that you could take that two ways. Is it when she originally left to go to the swimming hole? Is that why that dog? Here's my thing: is did she ever make it back home? So
I said the same thing.
So we know for a fact that she was alive somewhere between 2 and 2:30, according to the friend, because that's what time that this 15-year-old was dropped off. So we're going off of that she was at 2:30. She was still seen, and she was physically seen. So if there was nothing between that 2:30 mark and that 6:40 mark, did she even make it back home? To say that that she walked away, or did something catastrophic happen after they dropped off this 15-year-old on the way to the house? So those are the kind of things that I'm looking at.
Something, I said the same exact thing. I said I had doubts that she ever made it back to the house.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe between point A and point B. I mean, what's your guys' feeling, Bill and Ron? I mean, you guys have done the investigation into this side. Am I wrong on thinking some of the things that I'm thinking?
No, I think you're 100% correct. And one of my biggest questions was, what was the result of the interview of the three boys, of the brothers? Because they allegedly saw her walk down the stairs. So we don't know that.
Were they coerced?
Yes, that too. I would imagine, coming from where they're coming from, they're probably terrified of their parents.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the background of what they have. They put on this persona on. And again, I'm not saying that they're guilty or not guilty, but you have to call it the way you see it.
Right. And you're around this a lot. I mean, listen, this is part of what you do, right? So this is what EquiSearch does. You're around victims and their families. You're around the families trying to find their loved ones. So you see this kind of almost as much as the police do, if not more, because you're working, searching. So you're in communication sometimes with these folks.
Right.
A good question came in from the interview room. Chris McDonough, he's a retired homicide detective from California, down by in San Diego. He says, what were the parents doing while the search was going on, if you know? That's for you, Dave.
To be honest with you, I really don't know what they were doing. But what struck me funny is that the following Monday after, for one, when I did see them, there was no emotions. That's number one. Number two is that the father went back to work on Monday. Now, who in the hell goes back to work when your 5-year-old daughter's missing?
I got crucified for saying that because I said it too. I said,
crucify me away, but I want somebody to sit there and tell me, if you have a 5-year-old kid and it's missing, could you physically go back to work?
No, I'd be with a bullhorn standing on top of the tallest structure, whether it's a mountaintop or up in a tree somewhere, calling a name out. And
absolutely,
I would be handing flyers out. But that's me, and that's you, that's Bill. No two act the same. But at the same time, when you have a 5-year-old, your flesh and blood that's not accounted for, I can't see, he made a statement on the media. Oh, well, we got to get back to normal. We got to, to get our minds off of it. No, you're breathing, living, and every waking moment should be focused on this girl.
I'm finding your daughter. Period.
Retired Sergeant Melinda sent in $100 super chat maybe twice. I might have missed one. And we covered this already, but I'm going to bring it back up. She said, my super chat didn't come up with the question. Dave, how is Tim Miller? We just spoke about it. Tim is recovering at home. I had my internet issue where my Wi-Fi got banged off. My whole internet got banged off. It was a surge. And these guys were talking. So I didn't hear exactly what he said, but I know I talked to Angelina today over from his office. Am I getting her name right? Yeah, Angelina.
Yeah.
And she told me that he is a ball of fire, essentially.
I think he's still out of the 9 lives. I think he's only used 6. So
that's a great one. Thank you, Sergeant Melinda, for putting that in. Let's see quickly. I don't care what anyone said. I would be in the woods. Okay, this is coming in from TJ Coffee 00600. 0600. I like that. She's a military girl. I don't care what anyone said. I would be in the woods, on the street, everywhere I could think of until my baby was found. That's coming from a woman. TJ Coffee 0600. So she takes her coffee at 0600 in the morning, guys. Thank you for that question. Here's another one, and we're going to wrap it up. Donald went back to work. Did he know Summer was coming home, David? Did he know Summer wasn't coming home, David? So that's a question to you. That's you don't have the answer, but
well, I mean, I can't. I'm not in Donald's head, but again, I go back to common sense. Is that until I put eyes and I can hug and touch and squeeze and talk to my daughter, I'm not going back to work or doing nothing less than what I'm doing to sit there and bring this child home.
Yeah, I think everybody concurs with what we're saying here. I'm trying to pick out some new questions because some of them are redundant. Okay, no. All right, I think we've done enough. I held you here an hour and 12 minutes, and your phone's probably ready to go.
We'll have 21%. So
how much?
I still got 20%. So
we're good. All right, so then I won't wrap.
You want to burn? I mean, unless you're tired of me and looking at my other phone.
I love you, brother. 200 feet high. You couldn't even get close to the site because the heat was so hot. So that's about all I'll go into. And I'll say the collapse in Miami brought back some really horrible memories for me. And I didn't even cover it because I didn't even have the drive to cover it. It just sunk me when I saw it because it just made me think of the World Trade Center. Lisa Lee puts up a great question. And I wanted to ask you this. It was one of my questions on my notepad. So thank you, Lisa Lee, for the question. Did he mention why the brothers are still in the home? So I wanted to ask you, Dave, is it your, you work with so many families, okay? A 5-year-old kid goes missing and there's 3 other children there, aging from, young to young teenage, or not even teenage, up to 11 or 12. Would it be safe to say, for argument's sake and for safety, if you don't know what happened to this missing child definitively, removing those children for safety? Have you seen that in the past?
Unless DCS would come in there and Child Services would come in there and see something that would throw up a red flag. I don't know. I don't know that answer. That's a good question, and I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question. But I would think that if there was some sort of abuse or there was proof of abuse, then I think that those kids would have already been.
More of a question for you, because you've seen so many of these cases. I wasn't asking essentially for your professional opinion, like procedure wise, but have you seen it in the past? Like, okay, our California City boys were 2 went missing, and there was 4 other. 2 biological from the adoptive family, the 2 that were adopted that went missing, and then 2 other adopted kids. They came in there the next day and took all 4 kids because they couldn't answer to the police why definitively what happened. They said kids were outside playing while I was getting wood. I went inside, came back outside, they were gone.
Yeah. Do I think that the kids should have been? Yes.
Thank you.
And this is the only reason why is that there was allegations that she was giving alcohol to a minor, 15 years old. And then if you just watch her interviews, sometimes she don't even know what planet she's on.
I agree. She seems like she's on drugs and or alcohol, or both.
Or both. Yeah. I mean, her eyes. Good Lord. Again, I didn't think that she even knew her name, but to me, I would think that that's more than enough. That if this is true, and I think that even H's mother admitted that she had given this kid alcohol. To me, I don't know why she's not under arrest for contributing to a minor. But then I would have pulled the other kid because what are they getting?
Sergeant Cannon, I got a question for you. What's the legality of local law enforcement over there asking these parents to submit to a drug test? I mean, they could probably just tell them, F you, I'm not going to do it.
No, they can't force them to submit to a drug test, but you got to also remember, Don has a extensive criminal history. I don't know whether he's under the supervision of the criminal justice system, but certainly I could go into that house and based upon her interview, and I could inspect the house, I would remove those kids because she appears to be intoxicated all the time, and just the incident that occurred.
Yeah.
You weren't watching your kid, and the story sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm removing the kids. The story's horrible.
The story stinks to high heavens. But let me focus back in on what's most important here, because we didn't call Dave in to go over this case. And I thank you for touching on that, because lots of people want to hear other people's opinion other than law enforcement. So we do give that perspective, but it's always great to have a guy like yourself come on. And I thank you for that. But let me focus on, prayer emojis in the chat. If you guys could put some prayers up for David and his crew that are going down on Saturday into Rogersville and Hawkins County and in the general vicinity. Let's send them positive vibes, strength, and prayers for safety, first and foremost, and bringing Summer home and finding Summer Wells. That's the mission. That's what they're going down there for. And like he said, we have one thing in our focus, in our view, and that is finding Summer Wells and finding where she is.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Find Summer Wells. Bring her back safely. And with that said, I'm going to change this banner back to something a little bit more. Where did it go? Oh, I took that off and I meant to keep it on. That's all I got for you tonight, guys. But like I said earlier, that was a stream done by Duty Ron on his channel. He's retired law enforcement, if you don't know. Great channel, great guy from what I can tell. I actually just joined his subscription on his channel today because I was so impressed by the interview that he conducted with this gentleman. And the other gentleman is from Off the Cuff. Let's see, what's his name? Bill. I know someone in the audience is going to tell me. Bill Cannon. Okay. Oh, drugged by the. Oh, goodness. Oh, wow. I know, Gunderson, the nagging about armchair detectives. I know. But I think, and this is just my take on it, it's just my opinion. That's what everything is on this channel, is me giving my opinion. So take with it and do what you want. But to me, there's no problem with discussing the case. I think that it helps individuals, it helps people who are empaths, which I don't know about you, but I am definitely an empath, and I can't stop thinking about, what Summer could have endured or is enduring or where she is. It's just the fear of the unknown is just drives me bananas. And okay, sorry, I got distracted reading the chat while I was in the middle of my sentence. But what I was saying is that to me, there's nothing wrong about discussing what could be going on in a case. The problem is when people start either A, making things up, which I don't do, okay? I don't make things up and present them as fact. However, what can happen is if someone makes something up and makes it seem credible, and then it spins off into, this whole complicated web that just spirals into crazy town. Y'all know what I'm trying to say, is that it can get very convoluted and cause problems. I don't think anybody, well, I shouldn't say anybody, some people do want to do that. The trolls want to do that. That's what they want to do, right? No, I didn't mean that you were making anything up, sweetie. So, armchair detectives, I think that the problem comes in, and again, just my opinion. You don't have to share my opinion. You are welcome to disagree with me. Uh, Psychics, okay? I I think that they can muck things up because people take what psychics say and run with it as if it is fact. And, I couldn't tell you whether or not there are psychics who are truly gifted and know things, but we certainly can't prove which one is and which one isn't the real deal, right? And there's so many out there who portray themselves as legit, and we have no idea who's who. Okay, Patricia's not a psychic. Okay. Good. Gunderson says the trolls also like the slam folks for not being forgiving. Yeah, I feel like all the trolls want to do is troll. I feel like they go around and they just like to make people feel bad as much as they can wherever they go. So, yeah, I'm not too sure, Gunderson, about the psychic stuff. I'm not going to say, I just don't know. Your gut tells you, Don, knew for sure someone bad took her far away. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, rattle cages. That's what they do. They rattle cages just for the sake of their own entertainment. It's really bizarre. I don't understand it. I have never been one to seek pleasure in rattling another's cage, but I guess to each their own. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining me. If you found this interesting, please consider subscribing. I know that my technology skills are wanting, but it is what it is. I just am very interested in missing cases, and I like to analyze them, and I like to discuss with others who are interested in finding these babies too. So, God bless you all. And please go check out that whole interview if you are so inclined. And please hit the bell if you'd like to see any of my future uploads. God bless you all. Good night.